did our base get to?
Over there behind you.
Here. Okay. What do we find on the base? Anybody see any flaws?
Rough surfaces in the corners.
We have a certain amount of roughness, definitely. We've got a little bit of shrink in there, a little bit of irregularity in under this finger. All right. We got some roughness around the part itself. Right. There's a line going down the center. It's kind of a line that is made by that match plate itself. The plate, we call it a parting line. That's what this line is here. The difference between the cope part and the drag part. If that parting line has broken edges, you will get stuff inside, like we have even here. It's called flash. A little bit extra metal, we can grind it off, we can file it off. It's typical. Not a big deal. A little bit extra metal is not a problem, we can take it off. So when we come up short somewhere, we might have to try and put something back, and we can't always do that. This one, when we're done, we get it stamped. We're going to bring it over here. We're going to do our cutting. Bandsaw, I think most of you have used before. There's our adjustment knob for our blade guide. Hold on to it when you loosen it, because if you're not ready and it drops on your hand, it's going to pinch you. It's kind of like dropping a hammer. Okay. You have to have a certain amount of height to get in under the blade. We also have a blade lubricant here. If you use any of that in the 130 class, base lubricant. That can go on the side of the blade while it's running a little bit. Helps it cut. We can check our blade before we run anything. We're feeling those teeth. And you ought to have that set to it, you know? That alternative bend, you ought to be able to feel that. And it should be pretty distinctive. If it's nice and shiny and looks kind of like a comb, it might not have any set at all to it, then we replace it. Okay? That door's got to be shut. That door's got to be shut. Turn your red knob, release it, and it's ready to go on. The slot in the table is what I consider the hazard zone. If your hand's in front of that and you're cutting something and you slip, that slot is a direct line to the bandsaw blade. That's why you don't want your fingers over that slot. You want your hands on either side. I'm holding it down. I might even be resting my elbows, and I've got some pressure going forward. When I get done with a cut, my hands should not jump suddenly because I'm suddenly off the blade. I should have enough downward pressure that I just go forward a little bit. Sometimes I don't even go all the way through on that. Blade isn't going where you want it to. This is obvious. You got to steer and get the blade to go where you want it to. If you're cutting into the side of your base, stop. Back up a little bit. Steer. It's kind of like a sewing machine. You know, steer it to get those stitches to go where you want them to. I didn't cut all the way through. I didn't want to. I stopped it. Come back off the blade. And I'm going to cut in on the other side. Anybody ever back up on a bandsaw? Back it out of the blade carefully? You can do it. The other issue is if you twist that blade while you're backing, you're going to pull it toward you. And it's going to roll off of those wheels and go doing. And then it's like, now what? Well, now you got to put it back. All right. Try not to back up. If you can do it on short distances and do it carefully, that'll work. If you're doing anything long, just shut it off and then back out. I'm going to come off the work in just a second. If you don't see is a lot of jump when I do. Okay. Back off on that pressure. Sudden moves on a bandsaw tends to get you cut. Okay. I had a student some years ago cutting a piece of plastic pipe. She was pushing on it, she had her thumb right in line, it rolled and went right through her fingernail. It was ugly. She was screaming and yelling and it's also not good to talk to everybody while you work. You're supposed to be focused on the machine, not talking to your neighbor. Unlike your professor. I got special rules for me. Okay. Okay. Carefully back out. I didn't cut all the way through on that. Alright? I cut almost all the way through here, and almost all the way through here, and now I can take it and break it off. That's a lot safer than having things come loose while you're running the saw. Okay? This should probably get broken up and go back in our box for melting down. We got a big old vise right over there near Nathan. Put it in there, get a brass hammer, break it off. Break it into little pieces so we can put it back into the furnace. This, almost done. We still have to cut the center off, still cut off our core print pattern there, and then this is ready to go to work as far as our sanding and filing and whatnot. You did need to get it graded ahead of time. The stamp that I'm going to put on there, when you turn it in, I'm going to be able to see it. The other thing we'll do as far as stamping goes is we've got a drawer over there with the alphabet and numbers. The bottom of this gets your initials on it and the year. Okay? That way when you're showing your grandson, you can say, way back in 2012, I made this. It's going, really? Okay? All right. Clear on this saw and how it works. Sweep it off when you're done, paste away, that's good to go. Horizontal saw, bigger version. This can do some fine work. This is strictly a cut-off machine. It's cutting to rough length. Okay? It's not as great machine to have. It's easy to use. Drawer on the long workbench. It's a drawer over there under our drill bits. We often have end mills in there and markers in there. Sometimes pencils in there. You need to do some measuring, look there. If you want to be really smart, bring your own marker. Okay. Our spindles are going to be 13 inches long. Mark it. The thing I get excited about on this saw is people using this feed mechanism the wrong way. Think of it as a dimmer light at home. You got a switch to turn the light up and down. That's what this knob does. It controls our feed rate, fast, slow. That's all it's supposed to do. Underneath the dimmer knob is a knob that straight one. That's the off on. If you want to stop it, use the off on and stop it. The dimmer is actually called a needle valve. And when we screw that all the way in to stop it, we damage that valve. And we got to replace it. All right? We use a stop to stop and a dimmer just to control our feed rate. In this case, slow is not a bad thing. It tends to save us teeth on our machine. Okay, so I'm close enough. I can get my blade aligned, get my clamp in place. There's a coolant system to it. It runs. I typically don't even fool with the valve on that. Just let it run. Helps prolong the life of our blade. Combination square, precision tool. Don't leave it lay there in the coolant and the mess and all that stuff. Put it someplace safe. Adam's going to keep an eye on it. Red mount, green mount, same as the other machine. Both nice American-made machines. I talked to their tech center recently. They make great machines yet. This one, what's the date on this one? 93? No, it's older than that. Forgetting it. But it's held up for a long time. We can take care of it. This one cutting off. There's an automatic switch. Shut it off when it's done. Okay. If this machine stops working for you, there are safety switches. There are safety switches on that one too. If one of these covers is open, you can't start it. This particular cover has a latch on it. It sometimes lets the cover jiggle loose a little bit, and you'll be cutting halfway through and the machine just quits. Just push that back into place and start it again. On the other hand, anybody an ocean major in here? No. On the other hand, this cover works no matter where it is. The safety switch in there doesn't work at all. It shut off because of your spot. Alright. I gotta do a little work on that. There's a nice little wheel in there supposed to clean the blade and that kind of thing. But, okay. So you shouldn't have to open that up. Okay, when you're done, wipe it off. We do have a coolant system down there we have to keep an eye on. We'll worry about how to fill that up another day. But coming in tomorrow, we can check our drawings. We can cut some pieces here. We can cut some pieces there. We can work foundry. Typically, once you've gone over something, you're good to go. You're ready to work. Right. Sometimes I have some people come in with machine shop background experience. I may let them work ahead of time on something. But typically, for example, we're going to the lathe next. Tomorrow you've got time to kill. I probably won't be teaching you how to run the lathe a couple weeks ahead of everybody else. Questions? Talking for 2 hours straight. I am sorry for that. That's not going to happen ever again. Okay? All right. We're good to go. I'll see some of you in the morning.